If you need any Xbox or PlayStation codes or any cheap PC games, use the referral link in the description. It will take you over to g2a.com. They already have a discount on most of their goods, and if you use the code CHES at checkout, you can get yourself an extra 3% off as well. Hey guys, how's it going? CHES back again, and welcome to episode number 19 of the Chelsea career mode here on FIFA 16. We start with some training as per usual. We normally start with a training session or two before we get into the gameplay. Obviously yesterday we had a squad report, so if you want to see how everybody's getting on with their training, then check the channel page for it, and you can see yesterday's video. We obviously do a squad report in both the series that go up on Mondays on a Monday, so there was one in the Wolfsburg series as well if you want to check that out. But we start with a game at home against Manchester United. We're currently 3 points behind Tottenham, 5 off United, so a win here would be most welcome indeed. Starting a very strong side though, Zuma and Cahill at the back with Aspi and Gaya at the wing-back roles, Matic and Fabregas holding, of course, with Pogba sat at cam, Diego Costa at striker, Hazard and Willian out wide with Thibaut in between the sticks, and then to Manchester United playing a weird defensive line. Damian at right back and Luke Shaw at left back, which is unsurprising, but Paddy McNair and then Paul at centre-back. I don't know who he is, to be completely honest. Absolutely no idea. But the rest of this side is as you might expect it, although Anthony Martial is on the bench, and in real life, obviously, he's been playing quite a bit for Man United recently, but obviously in this series right now, not so much. But I don't know. That wasn't a block or anything. That was Hazard straight up just skying that shot. That wasn't a block. He got a goal kick after that, David De Gea. So I've no idea how Hazard has missed from 3 yards out and put it almost out of the ground, let alone into the stand. But unfortunately, the rebound here was well turned away by Marouane Fellaini, and we find ourselves 1-0 down. Not pleased with Thibaut Courtois for palming that straight to his fellow Belgian, to be completely honest. There was a defender there who could have palmed it to or got it around the post. Did neither. Fortunately, though, made a good save at his near post for that particular chance. And I was just petrified to go in on Fellaini there, as he was kind of full flow, and all you've got to do is just brush the player and they'll go down for a penalty. Unfortunately, though, Courtois made a mistake at the beginning of the second half as well, coming out for a ball that he had no right to come out and collect. The defender was covering it. Rooney gets there first, puts it underneath the goalkeeper. We're 2-0 down. Not pleased with how Thibaut Courtois has been playing so far in this episode. Paul Pogba, though, is trying to drag us back into the game, hits the inside of the post there, and then gets the ball bounced back to him. Going to try and work another opportunity into Diego Costa, but he can only fire it straight down the throat of David De Gea. We stay 2-0 down for now. Made a change, as you can see, top left, Ramirez for Fabregas, just to add a little bit more pace and engine into that central midfield role. Memphis Depay, though, involved here in the free kick routine and on the end of the shot as well. Unfortunately for him, though, not into the back of the net. Fortunately for me, he didn't score, but sadly, that was all she wrote for that game. 2-0 defeat at home to Manchester United. Not good enough, as if you ask me. I was really disappointed to have lost that game, but when your goalkeeper makes mistakes, there's not too much you can do about it, unfortunately. But back to the training ground again, back to square one almost. Dominic Solanke moving up in a rating. Obviously, Ruben Loftus-Cheek has recently gone up one as well. So there is still plenty of growth going on. I'm pleased with the squad, with the way that they're growing. It does bode well for the upcoming second and third seasons. But obviously, right here, right now, we're still outside the Champions League spots. However, a win here against Arsenal would be enough to get us back into the top four if we could win by 2 or more goals. Obviously, we're 3 points behind Tottenham, and their goal difference is +2 on us. So 3 points was the main aim, as it was against Manchester United. And we're away from home here, and they play that offset, don't they? Özil plays off centre when in that cam role. They have a 4-3-3 with the attacking cam, but he sits just to the left-hand side of, as you look at it from this angle, I guess just to the right-hand side as you go from back to front, of Olivier Giroud, which is really strange. I don't know whether it's because he wants to open the space up on his left-hand side or not. I'm not sure, because obviously he's very, very heavily left-footed, Mesut Ozil. But Fabregas is going to play a nice through ball here to Loic Remy, who's right-footed but has the shot with his left foot. Unfortunately, though, it was a solid block by the defender, and we weren't able to get ourselves in front there. Then Theo Walcott plays it back to Debussy here. What's he doing? I can't explain that. I couldn't explain it when it happened. When I was editing the video, I was like, I forgot that Debussy did that. And then he just, even whilst commentating, mistake at one end from Debussy, Clearly a mistake at the back from Mertesacker as well. Misjudged the flight of the ball or the path of the ball. Couldn't get onto it and then was completely outpaced by Loic Remy. Mistake again by Mertesacker there with Remy nipping in ahead of him. Trying to get us a second goal there if we can. Cesc Fabregas is going to work it across to Bertrand Traoré. Bursts around the outside. Going to have the shot with a right foot but can't get it anywhere near the goal mouth. Petr Cech with a simple save at his near post. Into the second half we go. Loic Remy had been the thorn in their side for the majority of the game to this point, as you've seen. And Oscar is going to find him again here around the outside. Loic Remy turns inside, just on his right foot, opens the face of his body up and the face of his boot to squeeze it in that far post. Loic Remy with a brace. Early on in the first, early on in the second. Really pleased with Loic Remy here in this one. We mentioned that none of our strikers have really been stepping up to the plate in the previous episode. Loic Remy, every single time I kind of mention something like that. I say, no, my strikers really are, forcing my hand when it comes to making me put them in the starting lineup. And then every time I mention that, the next couple of games, Loic Remy pops up with a goal or two. Mathieu Debussy, though, after making the mistake at one end that cost them, the first goal, scores a very, very good goal here. The right back in the box on his left foot smashes it and off the post. I can't remember whether it was early on in this series or in the career mode Road to Glory with Cambridge United last year that Debussy scored a very, very similar goal. Near post shot with his left foot in off the post. So clearly it's a force of habit for Debussy to do something like that. But we're into the third and final game of the episode. We did get the victory in that game against Arsenal that we were after, but not the goal difference boost. So we are still fifth on goal difference alone. But we're coming into the FA Cup game. I was going to play a stronger side against City, considering obviously we've been playing the youth players in the Cup to this point, and we did so against Gillingham, we did so against Newcastle, we did so in all of the Capital One Cup. But unfortunately we have a game against Juventus in the first knockout round of the Champions League coming up midweek next week, so I needed to save as many of my best players for that competition as possible. I'm sure you can understand me prioritising the Champions League over the FA Cup, but still the youth players have done a good enough job so far this year to have warranted the start anyway. But Aguero has the first chance of the game. He was actually offside from that one, but Courtois made a good save. Obviously looking to him to have a very good game here on the back of that dodgy game against Manchester United. He came for the punch there. The ball is eventually going to drop to Samir Nasri here. He gives it a good old whack. And I'm not sure who's to blame here. It's a great shot from Nasri. Take nothing away from the initial shot, but it does pop up off JT's left shoulder. You'll see from the replays, most notably the slow-mo one, the slow-mo one. It just pops up off JT's left shoulder. I'm not sure whether that unsettles Courtois, whether he's just waiting until it's gone past JT before committing to the dive, by which point it's too late to react and it's already past him. You see here, just pops up slightly off JT's left shoulder, and then Courtois can't react in time. So I don't know whether there's anyone at fault there or whether it was just a very good strike by the Frenchman. But unfortunately, it was enough to see us go 1-0 down. Coming on the counter-attack here, though, Falcao and Ruben Loftus-Cheek involved. This was actually a really nice move. Slotting through Dominic Solanke, who obviously scored a goal in the game against Gillingham, and then Falcao has the first shot, saved by Hart, and a similar mistake to the one that Courtois made against Manchester United, palming it to the man free on that far side. So perhaps I was overly harsh on Courtois, blaming him for that, when clearly it's perhaps just a physics engine thing more so than Courtois making a mistake. Either that, or Joe Hart made the same mistake that Courtois did. I'm not sure. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. But Yaya Toure is playing nice 1-2s here with his Ivorian teammate Wilfred Boney. Good strike, but again, solid save by Thibaut Courtois. Having a much better game this time around, although again, questions over the first goal. But we get the header clear from Falcao from the resulting corner. Zabaleta and Fernandinho and company are eventually going to work it via Otamendi to Yaya Toure, who just turns and cracks it. That's an absolutely gorgeous strike from Yaya Toure. Nothing anybody could do about that one. They passed it around beautifully from centre-back to centre-back to centre-mid and then into the back of the net. So a 2-1 defeat, and we are out of the FA Cup, unfortunately. But we are in the round of 16 of the Champions League, and in with a good shout, hopefully, against Juventus, of getting ourselves through to the quarterfinals. Arsenal and West Ham, I think that said, for the FA Cup, not for the FA Cup, for the Capital One Cup final, which will come later this month. And obviously the winner of that will get Europa League football, which hopefully for West Ham will be them, because they're down in 13th. Obviously Arsenal in 3rd. Don't really want Europa League football, do they? And in between the FA Cup game and whilst we were playing that FA Cup game, as you can see, Spurs and Arsenal have played a game in the Barclays Premier League, and have pulled further away from us. So we are still only 3 points behind Tottenham with a game in hand, but the goal difference has extended itself again to now +3, so they must have won that game by, again, 2 goals. So if we can win our game in hand, then obviously that will go down very well indeed to giving us a good chance of scraping into the top 4 again. We are just within touching distance, and it's only going to take a handful of victories back-to-back, and, you know, we'll be straight back in there, maybe even with a shot at the title before the end of the season. All that matters is we can keep the squad fit and healthy with the Champions League now, back in action, European football back to the forefront of our attentions. But obviously the Barclays Premier League, I don't know what would take preference really. Obviously we want to get top 4. That would take preference over doing anything in the Champions League other than winning it. But I don't know, do we push for the title or do we throw all of our attention into the Champions League and try and win it regardless of what happens with our league position? You guys let me know in the comment section down below what you think we should prioritise. Or should we just go flat out for both and hope that we don't tire the squad out so much that we lose both potential opportunities? You can let me know and I'll try and lend myself towards your suggestions. But that's going to bring today's episode to a close, guys. Thank you very much for watching. You can see on screen all the links to social media. They are in the description down below, as well as a link to my Twitter. Not Twitter, to my... Well, yeah, there is a link to my Twitter, but there's a link to my Twitch where I'll be streaming career mode tonight. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.